Think about the last time you stepped outside on a sunny morning. Within moments, something changed. Your eyes adjusted to the brightness. Your skin felt warmth. You became a little more awake, a little more alert. It happened so naturally that you probably didn't think twice about it. Most of us assume this feeling comes from one simple thing, vitamin D. After all, we've been told for years that sunlight is mainly important because it helps our bodies produce this essential vitamin. But what if that's only a small part of the story? What if sunlight isn't just a vitamin factory, but one of the most powerful biological signals your body has ever evolved to recognize? Imagine trying to run a city where every clock shows a different time. Traffic lights would fail, trains would miss their schedules, workers would arrive at random hours, and nothing would operate efficiently. Surprisingly, something similar happens inside your body. Every organ, every tissue, and even billions of individual cells have their own tiny biological clocks. These clocks constantly need to stay synchronized. The signal they rely on more than anything else is not food. It is not exercise. It is not a supplement. It is light. For millions of years, life on Earth evolved under a predictable cycle of sunrise and sunset. Every living creature, from tiny bacteria to modern humans, adapted to this rhythm. Long before pharmacies existed, and long before vitamins were discovered, sunlight acted as nature's master instruction manual. Every morning, it told the body that it was time to wake up, produce energy, repair tissues, digest food efficiently, and prepare for the activities of the day. As evening arrived, fading light signaled that it was time to slow down, restore damaged cells, and prepare for sleep. This means your body doesn't simply use sunlight to manufacture vitamin D. It actually reads sunlight as information. In the same way your smartphone receives signals from a wireless network, your brain receives information from natural light. Specialized cells in your eyes detect changes in brightness and immediately send messages to a tiny region deep inside the brain that serves as your internal timekeeper. Within minutes, this command center begins coordinating countless processes throughout the body. This explains why two people can eat the exact same healthy diet and take the same vitamins, yet feel completely different. One spends time outdoors each morning, while the other remains under artificial indoor lighting from sunrise until bedtime. Their nutrient intake may be identical, but the biological instructions their bodies receive are dramatically different. Scientists are increasingly discovering that sunlight influences systems far beyond bone health. It affects how efficiently your cells produce energy, how your hormones rise and fall throughout the day, how your immune system behaves, how well your brain stays alert, and even how deeply you sleep at night. Vitamin D is certainly important, but it is only one product created by a much larger conversation between your body and the sun. This is why swallowing a vitamin pill cannot fully imitate standing outside beneath the morning sky. A supplement may replace a nutrient if you're deficient, but it cannot recreate the countless light signals that evolution has programmed into human biology over millions of years. Your body doesn't simply crave vitamin D, it craves the sunrise itself, because sunlight is not merely something your body absorbs. It is one of the oldest forms of information your biology has ever learned to understand. Have you ever wondered why you naturally feel sleepy at night and more alert during the day, even if you never look at a clock? Somewhere inside your body is an invisible timekeeper that works every second of your life. It doesn't wear a watch, it doesn't count hours the way we do, and it never needs batteries. Instead, it depends on one simple signal that has remained constant for millions of years: the rising and setting of the sun. Deep within the brain is a tiny group of nerve cells that acts as the body's master clock. Although it is no bigger than a grain of rice, it coordinates trillions of activities throughout your body. Every morning, as sunlight enters your eyes, special light, sensitive cells in the retina detect the increase in brightness. These cells are different from the ones you use for seeing colors or reading words. Their primary job is to measure light itself. Almost instantly, they send a message to the brain that a new day has begun. That single signal starts a remarkable chain reaction. Your brain gradually reduces the production of melatonin, the hormone that promotes sleep, while increasing hormones and chemical messengers that help you wake up. Your body temperature begins to rise. Your heart becomes more prepared for activity. Your metabolism shifts into daytime mode, making it easier to use food for energy. Even your digestive system receives instructions that it's time to begin working efficiently. None of this requires conscious effort. It happens automatically because your body has learned to trust the sun as its most reliable schedule. Now imagine spending the entire morning indoors under dim artificial lighting. Your eyes receive far less natural light than they were designed to detect. The brain receives a weaker morning signal, almost as if dawn never fully arrived. As a result, your internal clock may drift later than it should. You might feel sluggish during the morning, depend on caffeine to stay awake, and then find yourself wide awake late, at night, when you should be sleeping. It's not always because something is wrong with your body. Sometimes your biological clock is simply missing the information it expects. This is one reason why traveling across time zones feels so uncomfortable. Your watch can be changed in seconds, but your internal clock cannot. It still expects sunlight according to the schedule it followed before the trip. Until enough sunlight arrives at the right times, your body remains confused. This temporary mismatch is what we know as jet lag, and it demonstrates just how powerfully light controls our daily rhythms. Researchers have also found that regular morning sunlight is linked to better sleep quality later that night. This may seem backward at first. You would think darkness alone determines sleep. But the body prepares for nighttime from the moment morning begins. A strong sunrise signal helps establish a clear distinction between day and night, allowing melatonin to rise naturally in the evening. In other words, good sleep often starts with good morning light. This rhythm influences much more than sleep. It affects attention, memory, mood, physical performance, hormone balance, and even the timing of countless genes that switch on and off throughout the day. When the internal clock stays synchronized with the natural cycle of sunlight, these systems tend to work together more smoothly. That is why sunlight is more than simple illumination. Every sunrise delivers a message that your body has been listening to since the beginning of human history. It tells every cell, every organ, and every biological process that a new day has started, allowing your internal clock to keep time with extraordinary precision. Have you ever noticed how different the world feels after spending an hour outside on a bright, sunny day? Problems may seem a little smaller, your thoughts a little clearer, and your energy a little higher. Many people assume it's simply because they enjoyed fresh air or took a break from work. While those things certainly help, scientists have discovered that sunlight is doing something much deeper. It is quietly influencing the chemistry of your brain in ways that affect your mood, motivation, focus, and even how well you sleep later that night. One of the most important chemicals involved is serotonin. Often called the feel-good neurotransmitter, serotonin plays a major role in emotional stability, optimism, learning, and overall well-being. When your eyes are exposed to bright natural light, especially in the morning, your brain receives signals that support healthy serotonin activity. This doesn't mean sunlight instantly creates happiness or eliminates stress, but it helps create the conditions in which the brain can function as it was designed. That's one reason many people naturally feel more energetic and emotionally balanced after spending time outdoors. Now consider the opposite situation. Imagine spending weeks moving only between your home, your car, and an office with artificial lighting. Even if the lights are bright enough to read a book, they often lack the intensity and full spectrum of natural daylight. Your brain may receive a weaker daytime signal than it evolved to expect. Over time, some people begin to experience lower energy, reduced motivation, difficulty concentrating, or changes in mood. Scientists believe that inadequate exposure to natural light is one of several factors that can contribute to these feelings, especially during seasons when daylight hours are shorter. Sunlight also has an interesting relationship with another powerful hormone, melatonin. At first glance, this seems confusing because sunlight doesn't increase melatonin. It actually suppresses it during the day. But this temporary suppression is exactly what makes nighttime sleep possible. By keeping melatonin low while the sun is up, your brain establishes a clear distinction between day and night. Then, as evening approaches and darkness increases, melatonin begins to rise naturally, preparing your body for restful sleep. In other words, bright mornings help create sleepy evenings. Think of it like a theater performance. Before the spotlight can shine on the actors, the stage lights backstage must first dim at exactly the right moment. Timing matters. If the lights change too early or too late, the entire performance feels out of sync. Your brain operates in a similar way. Sunlight helps orchestrate the daily rhythm of brain chemicals so they appear at the right time rather than all at once. Researchers are also studying how natural light may influence dopamine, another important brain chemical involved in motivation, attention, learning, and movement. While dopamine is regulated by many different factors, healthy exposure to daylight appears to support the brain's normal daily rhythms. This may help explain why people often think more clearly, stay more productive, and maintain better focus when they spend regular time outdoors. Perhaps the most surprising lesson is that none of these effects can be fully replaced by swallowing a vitamin tablet. A vitamin D supplement can help correct a deficiency, which is important for many people. But it cannot send light through your eyes to the brain. It cannot synchronize your internal clock, influence serotonin throughout the day, or help establish the natural rise and fall of melatonin every evening. Those signals depend on light itself. This is why your brain doesn't simply need nutrients. It also needs information from the environment. Every sunrise provides a biological message that tells your nervous system when to be alert, when to be calm, when to focus, and when to rest. Sunlight is not just something you see, it is something your brain uses to organize the rhythm of life itself. When most people think about sunlight, they picture warm skin, brighter days, or stronger bones. Very few imagine that the light falling on their body could influence their heart, immune system, or even the tiny power plants inside their cells. Yet modern research is revealing that sunlight affects far more than we once believed. It doesn't simply help us survive, it may help the body function more efficiently from the inside out. Let's begin with the immune system. Every day, your body encounters countless bacteria, viruses, and other foreign substances. Your immune cells must constantly make decisions. They need to know when to attack harmful invaders and when to remain calm to avoid damaging healthy tissues. Scientists have found that vitamin D, which is produced when sunlight reaches the skin, plays an important role in helping regulate these immune responses. It doesn't simply make the immune system stronger, it helps make it smarter. An overactive immune system can contribute to chronic inflammation, while an underactive one may struggle to fight infection. Maintaining healthy vitamin D levels is one piece of the puzzle that helps keep this delicate balance. But sunlight's influence doesn't stop there. Researchers have also discovered that sunlight may affect the cardiovascular system in ways that go beyond vitamin D. When ultraviolet light reaches the skin, it can trigger the release of compounds such as nitric oxide that have been stored in the skin. Nitric oxide helps relax blood vessels, allowing blood to flow more easily. As blood vessels widen, blood pressure may decrease slightly in some people. This means that a brief period of safe sunlight exposure may support healthy circulation through mechanisms that have little to do with vitamin production. Now think about the trillions of cells that make up your body. Inside nearly every one of them are tiny structures called mitochondria. These microscopic organelles are often described as the cell's power plants because they convert nutrients and oxygen into usable energy. Every heartbeat, every thought, every muscle movement depends on them doing their job well. Scientists are actively investigating how natural light, together with the body's circadian rhythms, may influence mitochondrial function and energy production. While many details are still being studied, one thing is becoming increasingly clear: our cells perform best when they remain synchronized with the natural cycles of day and night. This idea also helps explain why disrupted light exposure can have widespread effects. Imagine a factory where every department operates on a different schedule. The shipping team arrives at dawn, the assembly line starts at noon, and the maintenance crew works through the afternoon. Even if every employee is skilled, the factory becomes inefficient because no one is working together. Your body faces a similar challenge when it loses its natural rhythm. Organs, hormones, and metabolic processes begin drifting out of sync, making it harder to maintain peak performance over time. Chronic inflammation is another area where scientists are exploring the role of healthy sunlight exposure. Persistent, low-grade inflammation has been linked to many age-related conditions, including cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and reduced physical function. While sunlight is certainly not a cure, maintaining appropriate vitamin D levels, supporting circadian rhythms, and spending time outdoors may all contribute to healthier inflammatory regulation as part of an overall healthy lifestyle. This is where the conversation turns toward longevity. Living longer is not simply about adding years to life. It is about preserving the quality of those years. A healthy heart, a balanced immune system, efficient energy production, restorative sleep, and proper hormonal timing all work together to support healthy aging. Sunlight appears to touch each of these systems in different ways, acting less like a single nutrient and more like a daily environmental signal that helps coordinate the body's many moving parts. Of course, balance is essential. Excessive ultraviolet exposure increases the risk of skin damage and skin cancer, so more sunlight is not always better. The goal is not endless hours under intense midday sun, but regular, sensible exposure that respects both the benefits and the risks. Your body evolved beneath the rising and setting sun, and when you provide it with the right amount of natural light, you are giving it more than warmth. You are reinforcing one of the oldest biological partnerships in human history, one that continues to support health from the smallest cell to the entire body. By now, one idea has become clear. Sunlight is far more than a way to produce vitamin D. It helps set your internal clock, supports your brain, influences your hormones, and plays a role in the health of your immune system and cardiovascular system. But knowing this raises an important question. If sunlight is so valuable, how can you use it wisely without exposing yourself to unnecessary risks? The answer begins with timing. Your body responds differently to sunlight depending on when you receive it. For most people, the most beneficial habit is to spend a little time outdoors soon after waking. Morning sunlight is rich in the signals that help synchronize your circadian rhythm, while being much gentler than the stronger ultraviolet rays that become more intense later in the day. Even a short walk, sitting on a balcony, or enjoying breakfast near natural daylight can provide your brain with the information it needs to recognize that a new day has begun. Another important point is to let natural light reach your eyes indirectly. This does not mean staring at the sun, which is dangerous and can permanently damage your vision. Instead, simply being outside allows the brightness of the sky to stimulate the special light-sensitive cells in your eyes. These cells send powerful signals to your brain, helping regulate alertness during the day and preparing your body for restful sleep later that night. Your skin also plays an important role. Moderate exposure allows your body to produce vitamin D, but the amount of time needed varies widely. Skin tone, age, season, latitude, weather conditions, clothing, and the strength of the sun all influence how much vitamin D your body can make. Someone living near the equator may need only a short period of sunlight, while someone living farther from the equator during winter may produce very little vitamin D, even after spending time outdoors. This is one reason there is no single number that works for everyone. Balance is the key. More sunlight does not always mean better health. Prolonged exposure that causes sunburn increases the risk of skin damage and skin cancer. The goal is to enjoy regular sunlight while avoiding excessive exposure, especially during the strongest midday hours if you plan to stay outside for an extended period. Protective clothing, shade, and sunscreen all become important tools when exposure is expected to be long enough to increase the risk of burning. This is also where vitamins have an important place. If blood tests show that someone has a vitamin D deficiency, or if a person cannot safely obtain enough sunlight because of medical conditions, lifestyle, or where they live, a healthcare professional may recommend supplementation. Vitamin D supplements can effectively restore healthy levels in many people. They are valuable and, in some situations, necessary. But it is important to understand what they can and cannot do. A supplement can replace a nutrient, but it cannot replace daylight itself. It cannot send morning light to your brain. It cannot synchronize your biological clock through your eyes. It cannot fully reproduce the complex environmental signals that natural sunlight provides every single day. In other words, vitamins are an excellent backup when needed, but they are not a complete substitute for the biological conversation your body has with the sun. Perhaps the most practical lesson is also the simplest. You do not need an expensive gadget or a complicated routine to begin benefiting from natural light. Open your curtains after waking. Step outside for a few minutes. Take a morning walk when possible. Eat lunch near a window or spend part of your break outdoors. These small habits, repeated consistently, can have a meaningful impact because your body responds to regular patterns more than occasional extremes. Nature has been keeping time long before humans invented clocks. Every sunrise delivers a message that your body still understands, just as it did thousands of years ago. When you make sunlight a regular part of your daily routine, carefully, safely, and in moderation, you are not following a trend. You are working with a biological system that has been shaped by millions of years of evolution, reminding your body how to do what it was designed to do.